It's never been easier to take great photos on the fly. Everyone has a smartphone now, and the camera technology inside these pocketable devices has improved tremendously in the last few years. If you're wondering what the best camera phones are, then wonder no longer, because here are our top picks. Apple's iPhone 7 Plus sports the best camera performance we've ever seen in an iPhone. It's great all around, plus it also has the best optical and digital zoom we've ever seen in a phone. It has a dual 12-megapixel main camera with f1.8 and f2.8 apertures. There's also optical image stabilization, phase detection autofocus, and support for HDR. It can record 4K video at 30 frames per second or full HD at 120 frames per second. Beyond the zoom, it delivers natural color reproduction, and the lens blur effect in portrait mode is easy to use and accurate. The camera app is easy to use, but anyone seeking in-depth control will be disappointed. Regardless, the iPhone 7 Plus produces the most natural-looking photos of any smartphone camera. It also offers the best 2x zoom and lens blur effects of any phone on the market. Google put enormous effort into rebuilding the camera experience for its Pixel smartphones, and it shows. The main camera is lightning fast to focus, and it produces sharp, detailed photos. The HDR Plus processing cuts out the noise and boosts the colors and saturation just a touch. Point and shoot with the automatic settings, and you'll enjoy great results most of the time. The main camera in the Pixel and the Pixel XL is the same, with a 12.3 megapixel sensor and f2.0 lens with phase detection and laser autofocus. It also matches the video capability of the iPhone 7 Plus, supporting 4K video at 30 frames per second or full HD at 120 frames per second. As mentioned, the automatic settings are great, but you can also tweak the exposure, focus lock, white balance, and more if you want to. Low light performance is good, but there's no optical image stabilization in the Pixel phones, which is a somewhat surprising omission. The Pixel and Pixel XL are two great camera phones and come close to dethroning the iPhone and more or less match the Galaxy S7 Edge. Samsung's flagship phones, the S7 and S7 Edge, have exactly the same cameras in them, and they're among the best available right now. Low light performance is a real strength. Samsung's camera captures sharp images with plenty of detail even in fading light or indoors. The main camera is rated at 12 megapixels and boasts an f1.7 aperture. There's also support for optical image stabilization, phase detection autofocus, and HDR. You can record 4K video at 30 frames per second or full HD at 60 frames per second. The automatic settings generally get good results, but there is a pro mode for photographers who want to take more control. Focus speed is fast, which is important for capturing spontaneous moments or moving scenes. The camera app can be launched quickly, and it's an easy one to use. As for weaknesses, photos are on the warm side and can be oversaturated sometimes, looking a little less realistic than some of the competition. However, the Galaxy S7 Edge can go toe-to-toe with the best camera phones in the business. Although it's not as fast as some of the top-range camera phones, the camera in the G4 Plus could not be easier to use, and in decent lighting, the automatic settings get good results most of the time. The main camera is rated at 16 megapixels, so it can capture a lot of detail. There's an f2 aperture, and it supports phase detection and laser autofocus. HDR is a little slow, but it boosts picture quality dramatically. Video capture is limited to 1080p at 30 frames per second. Surprisingly, there is also a professional mode on the Moto G4 Plus that delivers some manual control. While low light performance is good for a budget phone, you're still going to see a lot of noise creeping in. Still, it's the best camera on a phone in this low price range. Most budget phones have absolutely terrible cameras, but the Moto G4 Plus doesn't disappoint, it excels. The dual camera setup in the LG V20 bolsters the regular camera with a second lens that gives an expanded 135-degree wide-angle view, giving you more creative options for your photography. General performance is excellent, and the camera is speedy to load and shoot. It offers plenty of detail and solid low-light performance. The dual main camera comprises a 16-megapixel shooter with an f1.8 aperture and an 8-megapixel camera with a wide f2.4 aperture. You'll find support for OIS, laser autofocus, and HDR. The automatic settings are pretty good, but LG also offers a user-friendly manual mode that gives amateurs the chance to hone their skills and should still satisfy pros looking for something a bit more in-depth than your average camera phone. Although detail levels are good, low-light photos tend to have some noise. However, wide-angle camera lenses are still rare on smartphones, so the V20 is a great buy if you're into those kinds of shots. It's also a great camera overall.